Hi, it's Betsy at iStampC, and we're going to make dyed papers for junk journals, and it's a couple of journals that I'll be working on in the weeks and month ahead. We're going to be using walnut crystals and color wash, water. If you happen to have a craft iron, that will come in handy. Paper towels, some type of a surface to, whether it's a pan or cookie sheet or something that will contain your paints, your sprays, stencils, and look at these stunning effects I have achieved. This one is using some stencils. This one as well. And this is, again, those specks, those brown specks are the walnut crystals. And I'll share with you one more. And I don't know about you, but I don't wash a lot of my, I don't really clean them off, my stencils, but I kind of like when they're a little dirty because you get these different effects on the artwork that you are working on. Okay, so walnut crystals. This is 18 years old when I sold these online. And when I did trade shows, like rubber stamping and scrapbooking shows. Walnut ink crystals are basically walnut husks and walnut crystals. They're largely based on dried peat, commonly mixed with walnut. So this is so cool, and I said, "Ooh, let's craft and share with my friends." So I prefer, whoops, I can't use white on here because it acts kind of funky. So sorry about that. So I will use 32 weight cardstock, and I prefer that weight. It's just a preference. Now I'm going to move my pan to the left here, because the white will just blur, and all I'm doing is just spritzing the white paper like so with water and give it a good saturation. And then what I want to do is grab the walnut crystals, and for this part here I'm going to remove my plastic, my gloves here, and already a few fell on the paper, and look how cool the effect just starts to kick in the minute you sprinkle. And this is what they look like. They're little it's like really granular in my opinion, and this is like the darkest because I've been experimenting, and this, I said, the next, when I turn on the camera to share, I want to make it a little darker, and I look forward to seeing what the effect will be. So then you spritz it again like so. Whoops. Is that not cool? Look at that. Look at that. Trying to like control the glare of my lights. Okay. And then what you want to do is grab your stencil of choice, and I want to do this one here. Put this one around. Place it just like that. And I'm just going to press the stencil so that it will adhere to the walnut ink crystals, and then I'm going to use my another sheet of paper, put it on the top so that it will lift the little bit of the saturation there. And then you can also use this for your next attempt to color your paper. Now I'm going to leave it, I'm going to press a little bit more, and then what I will do next is with my heat gun I will dry this just a little bit, and then once I dry this a little bit I will use my craft iron that I shared with you earlier, and I'll be back. And here is the effect. It is so cool. It's still a little damp, but you can see, I mean, I don't want a full impression of the stencil. I just want a very, very light effect. And then this too is the paper I used to blot the top with. And again, you can still, I'll still use this in the journals that I'm going to be working on. So I'm going to set this aside so that it dries a little bit more, and we're going to work on one more, and then I'm going to show you a different effect, whoops, that I also achieved with the walnut ink crystals and the color wash. Okay, and I want to do, I like to start around the edges like so. I just love the way this swirls and spreads, and then I'll add a little bit of the water. I'll show you how that begins to spread and marbleize, if you will. Okay. The other thing that I want to do is just move this a little bit so that you can see how it just changes the effect on your paper. And then I want to use the honeycomb here, and again, I'm going to use this one to pick up the excess. And again, this is something that you can use. It will not go to waste. And just to show you a little bit of what it looks like when you lift it, is that not cool? I'm going to put that right back, and I'm actually going to spritz this a little on the top, and I will dry this with the craft iron, and I'll be back. And here is the second effect I've achieved with the honeycomb stencil. And again, it's still a little damp, but it's okay. I just want, I'm impatient. I want to share. But it is so neat. Okay, so I'll put that aside to dry. And next, what I want to do is show you, and I'm actually going to use, let's use this copy paper that I used to blot the first stencil that we used. And then what I want to do is, that way the white won't affect the camera, but I'm spraying it with water. And we'll use the walnut ink. I mean, I'm sure you could use, I think there's another brand out there. I'll list them down below that you can use to achieve this. But like I said, I'm trying to be mindful and use as much of the stuff that I have in my stash for the longest time. But they're called, they're called Shimmer Powder by Nuvo. And I know that Lindsay's Magic Shakers are also two other options that you could use. But I want that brown coffee stain effect, if you will, as my base. And then what I want to do is lay my third stencil like so, and then I'm going to move this just a little bit because I'm going to use Sunset Orange and Butterscotch. These are really, really old, and I love the effect and how rich they truly are. Now I want to cover my surface just a tad more, because when I first started experimenting with this, I did it on my kitchen counter, and I also have a color catcher, which is really helpful. So hopefully I won't make a big mess, but I will try to be mindful. So I'm going to do the inside of the sunflower, and I'm not too worried about the stem. And then I want to use butterscotch, and then I want to use Sunset Orange on the actual flower, like so. And then what I will do is heat set this just a tad. I say use caution, because I don't know if you hold this to the plastic stencil for an extended amount of time, if it will warp. So that's why I'm moving my heat tool around, and I'm not allowing it to be stationary. And I really like the effect that I was able to achieve on the bees. This here, and this is how I achieved it. So I just move this around, and a few minutes, if you will, and take a peek if I'm happy with. Now remember, the paper underneath, your copy paper underneath, is pretty dry, but look at that. Love it, love it, love it. So I will take this extra, kind of like the negative, rub it on the top, and lift. And what I will do is to show you I'm going to bring over my craft iron to show you the effect. I'll be right back. Okay, so here is the craft iron, and I'm not sure if these are still around, but I'll see if I can list it down below. But I'm going to remove the stencil and lay some scrap paper and lay this on top. And then I want to grab let's just grab another paper, and I do have a glass cutting from Tonic Studio underneath to protect my surface. And I have it on the highest setting, cotton and linen, and I'm just moving it side to side. And look at that. Oh my goodness. I've never done this technique. I've done the walnut stain to paper with water, but I've never used stencils. And I've seen various techniques, and my gosh, I was just completely floored at the effect you're able to achieve. So I'm going to remove that. And you could also, once you've kind of dried it just a tad, I've been using the iron, the craft iron, directly onto the wet paper. And so far, nothing has happened where my iron is picking up the paint or that it's staining the flat surface there of the iron. I truly like the effect. Is that not cool, sweet crafty friends? Oh, oh, oh. Cool indeed. So, I hope this will inspire you to grab whatever sprays you have in your stash, some water, your stencils. And again, super, super important to, if you don't have an iron for crafting, that you can, if you want, you can put these outside if it's sunny or if it's a warm day. But I thought this was so easy to make, and absolutely will use these in a couple of journals that I'm going to be working on. And again, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that you are all doing well, that this will inspire you to use your stash and create some dyed papers for your journals. Until next time, be blessed.